Ankalaev, you're next. That's from Dana White. And he got asked about this. I believe this was by Kevin Iole, but I don't want to take credit away from somebody else if it was. Dana White, Contender Series, and he went to a press conference. And those, by the way, are those are the must-watch press conferences. Those are easily the best press conferences. Like if you have one on Fight Week, which is where your standard press conference would be, it's really quite tailored to that event. Really quite tailored to that pay-per-view. To the point that Dana will even try to stop anything that goes over those bounds. I mean, you heard it a million times, well, let's see what happens. It's one of those things, but that's his way of bringing you back. Don't ask me about anything beyond this pay-per-view and these Dana White Contender Series. These are the best press conferences. These guys don't offer any apology. They'll touch on the show that just happened, and then they'll go out there and they'll get the goods. So that's a side note. Let me bring you back to this. Dana said, of course, Ankalaev would be next for Pereira, right? And he's talking about if they both win. And there's not a lot of times in the sport where this game has worked. I mean, you're counting on guys are going to fight. All right. So now they got to be healthy. They got to get through training camp. They got to get their weight down. They got to get everything signed. They've got to get their travel, get their visas. I understand that this sounds like a regular thing, but there's a few moving parts to that, and that's just to have those guys fight. Now, before we're going to get to that, one guy has got to get through Khalil Roundtree. I am telling you right now, there is nothing that Khalil does better than respond when kickboxers attack him. I mean, I'm just going to plant that in your head now, and I'm going to continue to plant this seed with you. There is nothing he does better than respond aggressively to a kickboxer's attack. Okay, great. So I'm just saying that's a hard fight to get to. Not to mention, when an athlete finds himself in a fight that's harder than they thought it was going to be, and that could very easily happen to Pereira, no matter how great Pereira is, and he is. He's a human. And if he believes at all he's going to be stepping down, he's going to feel that by the time he gets in there, whether he wants to or not. He's going to be a 4-1 favorite. I'm making numbers up right now, but he's going to be a 4-1 favorite. There isn't going to be a ton of interest. He's going to go to press conferences. He's not going to get a ton of questions. I caught Khalil yesterday. Khalil in an interview, seems like a very sweet guy, but I caught him in an interview responding to a media member that showed up and asked him the question about him getting the title shot. And I can just tell you, I don't know. I don't know if Khalil can play this game. I don't know if he can meet him halfway. I don't know if he can hold up his end of the bargain by bringing attention and making sure that the weigh-ins and the press conference and everything else are skilled. I don't know. At the time that I clicked on the video, I do now know that's not his forte. He is not going to uphold this and turn this accidentally into something. Okay, great. But let's look on the other side. So now you've got Ankalaev, clearly the number one contender, at least according to you guys. And you know what? I do have a little bit of a problem with that. And it's not a huge problem, but I do have just a little one, which is Raychik is that damn good. You got to understand, Raychik did not get a world title fight. Well, neither did Ankalaev. But Raychik did find himself in the next best thing. He's in a number one contenders match. That is quite literally the next best thing that you could get to a title fight. And he found himself there coming off of a loss. As a matter of fact, he found himself there coming off of a stoppage loss. As a matter of fact, finding himself in this spot actually moves him in front of the guy that he suffered the loss to in Prohaska. And I'm only telling you this because that's how good Raychik is, and a lot of people have forgot. Raychik looked good the night he lost to Prohaska. But he looked like a guy who had been out for a minute of time. To a guy whose conditioning it wasn't going to be right where he wants it, and there was no way to manufacture that. You go and spar, you can try to do that in the gym as much as it doesn't quite get you there. And on a guy like Prohaska, being able to dig deep, having that cardio is of paramount importance. And I will tell you that Raychik was looking great. He was winning parts of that fight, for sure. And the matchmakers were able to see that. So that fight has a significant meaning. Like, that fight does need to happen. In many ways, let's just say that it did. Let's say Ankalaev went right in against Alex Pereira. I would be arguing for you to look at Raychik to take on the winner. And I'd have a hard time with that argument. Chael, he's coming off of a loss. Yeah, I know, but there was more to that. got up to 250 pounds. He was cutting weight. A lot of his efforts and energies just went into beating the scale. Like, that wasn't the world's best Raychik, and he still looked pretty good. Can we agree on that? So, Ankalaev versus Pereira, okay? Now they got to go through this gauntlet. Now that we got a 4-man tournament formed, we're going right into the semifinals, and the champ is part of it. I mean, when Dana said, obviously, Ankalaev is next, when he said, obviously, you know the tone in his voice. He doesn't use that word very often. This was not a dance. This was not a game. This was not PR or marketing. He was answering a question very directly. Okay, great, but then we know we have a number 1 contenders match. We have a true number 1 contenders match, and the champion, whoever that is going to bring the belt to the next round. You've now got semifinals. You've got a 4-man bracket. So in light of a 4-man bracket, will that make you want to see Ankalaev versus Alex more? Ankalaev gets over on Raychik. Pierre's got no choice. He's got to show up if he, in fact, is the winner, right? You got to bring the belt. Do you want to see it more? Would that delay bring you? Because, see, that's the only game. If the answer to that is yes, we can get up and walk out of the room. We are all done here. That is a promoter's job. If the answer is no, or it's equal, right? It could be a learning lesson. And by the way, when you have tournaments, things fall apart, and there is no more dangerous round in a tournament. I don't care if it's the Final Four. I don't care if it's the Olympic Games, NCAA, your high school state meet, whatever. The semifinal is the most volatile round of the tournament. Things never play out the way that you think they will, at least not straight across. So to get to Alex and to get to Ankalaev, like, this is going to take a meaningful amount of work and a meaningful amount of effort. And it was strategic. It was very well planned. In fact, Dana had even given this within his answer as to why it was Roundtree. He said, whoa, Ankalaev didn't get picked over. He didn't get looked over. He just wasn't picked. So Dana was kind of letting us know, like, no, there's a few names at the table, and his was one of them. But Roundtree, who's coming off 5 in a row, or I think it might be 6 in a row, and 5 of them were finishes. Like, Roundtree's got something really beautiful there, too, and he was the one that got the nod. And Dana did add, not to mention, at the time that we made the fight, Ankalaev wasn't even available because he already had a signed contract with Raychik. Now, I get that. Don't think you're the smart guy in the room that comes and unpacks that for me and that was by design. The author of the statement was also the author of the one that got him tied up. I'm not asking you that right now. I'm asking you, does that work? I'm asking you for you. If we got to go through a gauntlet and we understand all the things that would have to happen to get those two through this, we understand that plans in this degree seldomly work, but if it does, well, Goliath can get over on Raychik. If Roundtree falls to Pereira, do you then want to see Pereira versus Ankalaev more? That's the only question. And the whole strategy, the whole thought process that orchestrated this before they brought it to you believes the answer is yes. I just want to hear directly from you.